everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Penapple and today I am doing an A-frame sort of modern type house. If you're interested in this build, you can download it off of the gallery. My origin ID is penappleYT. So things are a little bit different today. I'm showing my face. I thought that could kind of maybe make the video a little bit more personal and fun. I don't know. Let me know what you think. We'll see how it goes. I've kind of talked about doing this before, but yeah, I don't know. I think I'm also just trying to motivate myself to actually do a speed build, trying something different to get it done. I've had such a hard quarter with school, and I am on the eve of finals week, and I have 7 tests. 7. And it's completely awful, but I really wanted to get this thrown together because I figured that if I didn't do it now, it might not ever happen. But I am really excited about this build. It is an A-frame, but I saw some really cool pictures on Pinterest with some cool roofing, and I've been kind of into doing some like new fun things with glass roofing, and so it'll create like a zigzag pattern of the glass. And then also I saw this really cool cabin on Pinterest that had the roof going down and then creating a support for the porch. Yes, that's the I think that's the word. Yes. And so I thought I combined the ideas because madness. And so I did this on stream a while ago. Like I said, it's been a really rough quarter. Oh my gosh. But instead of complaining about it, I shall instead tell funny stories about it. I guess maybe I should probably describe the roofing, how I did it. Oh, I feel like I'm not very good at doing that though. Oh, I mean, the roofing is on 2 stories. Okay, I don't really know. You can watch it again. I'm really sorry. I really do wish that I could explain this well, but I don't think I could. So instead, I'll be awkward to tell a fun story instead. Okay, so if you don't know, with my schooling, I'm currently doing, it's kind of a long distance program. So it's me in a classroom of a couple other students, and we telecommute in to the class, and so they can see us and we can see the instructor. We can't usually see them unless they ask a question. But it's always awkward. I've been doing this for almost a year now. It's no less awkward than the very first day. If anything, it's definitely gotten worse. Like, we have this weird glitch with the screen and you can't like see the bottom, like half of it. And now like it's starting like of the slideshow, and now it's starting to affect the lecture. And so they'll like move their hand and they'll like do like a freeze frame, and it's really bad. It's really bad. But I wanted to tell, okay, I can't talk, but so ever since I started doing long distance learning, I've always wondered what would happen if something happened on our end or on their end. You know, like, I guess we just stopped class or something, but like, what would happen if the fire alarm went off? Well, I'm here to tell you that it finally happened. The fire alarm went off in the other classroom, and it was extra confusing for our side at first because we were like, what is that? Because it doesn't sound like our fire alarm. So it starts going off, and we're like, oh, and we get oriented, and the lecturer gets oriented, and then she says, wait 1 second, guys, I just have one more thing to say. And I'm like, oh my gosh, your building might be on fire, but she has one more thing to say. Oh my god. They are on, I think, the 5th floor of a really quite large building. An old building with asbestos. I wouldn't want to be in that building in a fire. I would actually prefer to be in our building, which we're on the 1st floor, very close to the exit. New building, no asbestos. But anyways, I just die a little bit because, like, fire safety is not more important than your closing thought. But anyways, so the last this just my other story with long distance learning, because I always have a story. And here you can see in the video I am doing the sort of V supports. So yes, I am good at narrating my Sims 4 builds. Okay, but so the other day, the audio just suddenly cut out completely. And so it wasn't my day to be IT. So the other girl who's ITing, she unmutes us and she goes, I think your mic cut out. Lecturer keeps going. No response. I think your mic went out. Still keeps going. And so then she goes to text the IT group over there, and some of my classmates started like waving in the background, like, hey, no response from IT. We're like, because we're like missing the lecture at this point. And so finally, we see one of the other instructors, he pressed his mic button, so the camera shifted to him, and then he started talking. And then he unpressed it, switched back to the instructor who's lecturing, and he's like, what? Like, we still can't hear him. And so it just stopped working. And this has happened once before, and like it happened right before a test, and I had to go sprinting to go find our IT person. It was stressful. But anyway, so we knew basically the issue was on their end, because this is what happened last time. But they always blame us, always. Like it's never their fault, but it always is. So, we like disconnect and reconnect, and they disconnect and reconnect, and they're like, okay, you guys should refresh, you should boot, like shut down the system, wait for it to reboot. So we do that, and we're like, you should do that too. No, still no audio. And so they record the lectures so you can watch them back later. So we're like, okay, we can technically live stream this right now. So we completely disconnected from them, started live streaming. And then, we get a few minutes in while they're rebooting their system, and all of a sudden we hear boo-doo-doo, boo-doo-doo, boo-doo-boo, boo. You are in the Zoom meeting now, which is the sound it always makes whenever you connect. But like, we're not, it's them that's connecting, and all of a sudden all the slides go away, and it's like the image for the call, like waiting, and the IT person over there is like, okay, now you guys connect. And we're like, we're literally trying to listen to the lecture right now. Like, it's better audio. It's like the best audio we've had all year. Like, the student questions come in crystal clear. Like, the content, the slideshow isn't like pixelated like crazy. And I'm talking like unreadable when it's pixelated. Like, we're having the time of our lives. Nobody can call on us. No awkwardness for us. We're doing great. He's like, no, you guys need to connect. And we're like, no. We'll wait till after the lecture. And so, then we did. And the moral of the story is, I'm going to try and see if we can just live stream from now on. So I may not be live streaming on Twitch, but I will be live streaming content from a classroom. Anyways. But yeah, it was definitely completely their fault, as always. But we've made it a pretty far distance into this build, me just talking about my long distance learning. I said I wasn't going to complain about school, and then I just complained about it in a different way. Does that count? But anyway, so right now I kind of tried to play around with landscaping too, just to actually take advantage of the shape looking cool, because like in the Pinterest thing it was on like, a hilltop and sticking up out, and it looked great. It looked great. And I love me some terrain tools now that I've kind of figured out how to use them. Especially when I can make myself look like a terrain tool wizard. That's always great. Lil Simsy was appreciative of my wizardry. And that was like the highlight of my day. I was at lunch and I got a text message or a DM from Chrissy, another Sims YouTuber, and she's like, you were featured in her shell challenge build and you went first. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And my other classmates are like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, you don't understand, but this is a very big thing. So yeah, that was fun. But anyway, so I like me some landscaping, although this whole like brown like side of the wall, this is just awful. I really dislike this. I hope they do some sort of patch within the future. They might. We'll see. because right now it looks kind of bad. But I wanted, like, I liked the sort of like stepped landscaping, and I thought it would be fun. And I think it turned out good. But let's go back to school. So, in the summer, I'm going to be doing kind of like a rotation thing. And so it won't be long distance learning. I will be like at a site. It's like almost like internshipping for a month. And it's in like a rural area. Never really been there before. And I won't be able to bring my desktop, so I won't be able to produce videos during that time. And this might be the second to last video for like a month-long hiatus or maybe more than a month in the summer. We'll see. I'm gonna try. This is me trying my best. And my best is getting a video out like once or twice a month. But school is technically more important. I've also been missing live streams like crazy because I stream once a week, Saturday mornings. I've missed like 3 in a row. And this last one, it kind of wasn't my fault. It was another school thing. There was like a study session that the professor wanted to do with us, which was super sweet of him. And we were like trying to figure out a time. And he's like, whatever works for you guys. And one of my classmates was like, we should base it around people's schedules. And she was thinking of me because I'm really the only one who has something committed every Saturday morning. And she was trying to make it so I could stream, but it didn't work because nobody else wanted it, even though they weren't doing anything else. But anyways, that's a side point and an excuse. But what am I talking? Oh yeah. So I'm going to be like doing this internship, and there's another student that's coming with me. And so the school is putting housing. Ooh, before I forget, I'm adding this like really bulky roof trim. That was a joke at first, and then it looked really good, and so I decided to keep it. But anyway, so the school is paying for our housing, and we've been told for like a year that they're going to find us housing. You know, they're going to pay for housing. Oh, fast forward to now, and they're like, okay, time to start finding housing. We're like, what? We'll pay for it, just you got to find it. And we're like, oh my gosh. So on top of everything else, we have to find housing. But, you know, the organizer, you know, is like, oh, well, I can come up with a few ideas for you. So she like grabbed a couple things off of Craigslist, which looked super sketchy, and then she found an Airbnb. And I'm rooming with another girl, so we got to combine our funds, so that'll make it a little bit easier to find a nice place. But this coordinator, she found me an Airbnb. She found this Airbnb that's like a half hour away from our site, which isn't like too bad, but like it's not even in the same city anymore. It's like, oh, it's a ways. It's a studio. And there's two of us. It's a studio apartment with one bed and a sofa that in the description said, best suited for children. Neither of us are small children. And it didn't have a kitchen. It had a microwave, a sink, and a refrigerator. And that was it. And I'm just like, how do you expect 2 grown women to live like this? I could maybe understand it for one person, but for 2 people who like, we've never lived together. Like, we're just acquaintances. We don't know each other. Anyways, so to top it all off, it wasn't under budget. It was over budget. And I'm just like, who is this for? Why are you suggesting this? And like the 2 Craigslist ones were under budget, but like, I don't know. One of them didn't even show pictures of the interior. And I'm just like, what? Okay, so I went and looked on Airbnb, and I found a place that's a 2-bedroom with a kitchen we can use. It's in the host house, so they'll be there the whole time, but you know, whatever, it's a month. I negotiated with the host to get it under budget, and we are good to go. And I did that in like 2 days. So, you know, you guys, I really couldn't. I'm just like, because I'm like trying to imagine, like, how would this work? Like, I guess we could trade off with the bed every other week or something, but like, we could share the bed. And like, we both have like long-term boyfriends, so I'm like, no one's gonna be visiting us then. let's just the four of us all cuddled up in this one queen size bed. It'll be great. Um, but yeah, so that's that's about. I think I finally covered everything that has to do with school. No, oh wait, you guys, I still haven't. Okay, so I'm extraordinarily tired because I'm in graduate school. And it's getting really close to finals week. And so I'm literally like sprawled out on the desk. I have like my cardigan under my head and I'm like half dead. And one of like the IT people, the guy, he like comes in and out of the classroom. He's like, "You look exhausted." And I'm just like, "Thanks. I am." But oh my gosh, I feel like that's like the worst thing you could always say. Something you look I don't know. Somewhere along the line, looking tired became synonymous with looking bad, which I feel like isn't great. But that's definitely how it's taken. So, and I've definitely said someone looked tired before, but I was like, I don't know. I don't know what you want from me. Okay, so let's see. I'm doing landscaping now. I went with a red theme because I with modern houses, I feel like we're kind of limited to color palettes, and red, black, and white actually looks really fantastic. So I kind of thought I'd go with that. I feel like I've kind of relied on that a lot in the past, but I don't know. It looks good. I'm going with it. But yeah, so I shall tell a story, an embarrassing story. Okay, so I wanted to make enchiladas. I make a really great sweet potato and black bean enchilada. It's so good, and it's like a salsa verde one, the green. It's so good. So I go to the store. And I'm looking at salsa verde sauce. And like the thing about this recipe is it calls for salsa verde and it calls for chopped like canned jalapenos and olives, black olives. And so that's a lot of sodium. Like it's more sodium than I'm comfortable with usually. So I try and find like the lower sodium options. And so I spend a good 10 minutes, no, 5 minutes comparing the sodium content of like 5 different salsa verdes. It's like not even worth it at this point. Like I'm debating between 5% and like 6% at a certain point. Like I saw one, I think that was 20%. I'm like, well, definitely not that one. Then I'm going between like 5 and 6%. Anyways, took me so long. And so I finally put it in my cart, do the rest of my shopping. We're good to go. I go to check out, and this is like a Safeway. It's super busy. They only have the self-checkout aisles and then one person manning a checkout area. And like, this is at rush hour. It's like 4 p.m. This is like everyone's getting off work and school. And I am trying to buy my salsa verde. And so I wait a really long time in line, and then finally once it gets to me, I'm kind of like rushing to get my stuff on the cart because I kind of feel bad because I kind of have a lot of stuff. So I'm putting it on there, and I like kind of grab a couple things that I have in my arms, and I almost drop the salsa verde, and I grab it, and then it tips over the other side. And then it cracks open on the ground in the middle of the checkout line. There are like 5 people behind me. There's no, like, I thought maybe another checkout person would have come to relieve this person by now but no, it's just me, 5 people, checkout guy, and a can of salsa verde on the ground. And so I stand there hovering, like, I managed to, like, scoop it up before, like, the whole thing glooped out, and the, like, checkout guy took it from me, put it in one of the, like, plastic bags and put it over, and you know, he goes and grabs some paper towels, and I'm like, "Can I help you?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, because he's literally just, like, cleaning up the salsa verde at my feet. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Like, I also didn't want to, like, over-apologize and be that person, so I didn't apologize to the people behind me. Maybe I should have. But, you know, we finally get it all cleaned up. And he had called someone to help clean up, and then they came over, and I thought they might, like, go get, you know, the other, like, me a new salsa verde, because I still need my salsa verde. I still need it. But no, and so I'm like, I should go grab another. And he's like, yeah. So I go run over and grab, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, which one did I pick? Because at this point, I don't even remember what it looks like. And there's like a whole like thing of salsa verde in front of me. And I'm like, was it the 5% or the 6%? So I managed to like grab the right one. I take it out and it was fine. It was all fine. I mean, I came back and awkwardly the person was like mopping and I had to kind of like walk around them to put it on the You guys, it was an event. And like, I know this happens to everybody at some point, but it was an event. Oh my gosh. So salsa verde and sodium. You know, I'm trying to limit my sodium because I have a really strong predilection to hypertension that runs in my family. And hypertension is like hugely prevalent in the American population. And I am of the American population, but the universe said no. In this case, the universe said no. Where are we at this build? I'm kind of like zoomed out. Let's see. Oh. We're doing pretty good. We're about halfway through. I'm kind of starting to run out of stories, which is always great. I tried to go with like a little bit of a longer build this time, and I left in all the landscaping because I left it out last time accidentally, and I felt really bad. Especially since like I ended up being featured in Little Simsy's Shell Challenge, so I was just kind of like, But yeah, so here we are. I have a story to tell. I can always think of something. So I have a friend who lives like states away from me, really far away. And we read a lot of the same books, really interested. And the last book I brought props because I figured since we have face cam, I can have props. We read this book. This book is amazing. I love it so much. It's called Uprooted. And if you haven't read it, it's fantastic. I love it so much. She didn't like it as much, which is fine. But, you know, we had also read Court of Roses and Thorns. I don't know. I heard on audiobook and I was a little bit iffy about it. But I think that was mostly audiobook. Who knows? But anyway, so, you know, fast forward a few days later, I had this craving to read this one specific book, Wicked Lovely. And so I rented it from the library online, which is amazing. I'm so glad I figured out how to do that because that's so much fun. But anyways, I read it, you know, I go through, finish it. I'm like, such a good book. I wonder if my friend would like this one. I don't know. 2 days later, she texts me and she's like, there's this one scene in this one book and it's amazing. It's like, when I describe it, it kind of sounds weird, but it's amazing. And I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, what's the book? She's like, Wicked Lovely. And I just lost my mind. I completely independently of each other, we read a book that's from 2007. And I know we have similar tastes in books. And we sometimes read books together. But how did that happen? I don't know. But it was kind of amazing. And I'm still freaking out about it. It's really not that big of a deal, but I'm still freaking out about it. Oh my gosh. It's we're on the same wavelength. And I read this book once. It's one of my favorites. It's Room with a View. It's kind of an older book. And in it, the main character's it's fate. We met in Italy. And another character's it's not fate. You guys are both rich, British people who like to vacation in Italy. It's a popular location. It's not fate. And so that's kind of what it feels like. It's you guys read the same books. It's not fate, but it's fate. Okay. So since we're on book conversation and I have props, it's actually kind of relevant. This book, Strange the Dreamer, is amazing and I love it very much. I'm a big fantasy reader, but I've actually been trying to work on a speed build that recreates the lost city in it called Weep. So I just love that name for a city, Weep. It's amazing. But it's starting to crash my computer and I haven't had the motivation to finish it and I'm kind of scared to make a speed build of it because I think it needs to be at least a 2-part video and I'm just that one definitely won't have face cam. Okay. But yeah, so we'll see. I really do want to get it finished because it's such an amazing like book, and the build's looking pretty cool. Again, heavy use of terrain tools. It's on a 64 by 64 lot, which we all know takes forever. But I think if I could just finish it, it would look good. But like there's a garden component to it, and I need a sim to like bury plants, but which I don't play the game very often. I actually though, I tested this build. I've been trying to get a lot better at that. And so I actually had a sim. This is like in the vacation world. And I had a sim come take a vacation here. And I had her cook. And I had her try and sleep. And I had her try and use the closet and the bathrooms. Both of them. And you should be very proud of me. Because I am a woman of limited time. Who probably shouldn't be making speed builds to begin with on my schedule. And I play tested for you guys. You're welcome. Okay, but the book I'm reading now is this. And this is like such cool cover art. This is like my aesthetic. I love this absolutely. And like the book is like kind of dark and like creepy, and I actually tried reading it, and then at about, I have my bookmark in here. I have 2 right now. The pink one is where I stopped. And this is where I'm at now. And so I stopped there because of school, and I lost track of time, and I lost the plot. So I started rereading it, and it's really good. It's like super creative. And this is just Penelope shows off her books. Book time. So I'm trying to reread that. And at the same time, I also have one on the library called Jane Unlimited that I'm trying to reread, because with both of them, I stopped reading partway through. So that kind of seems like a recipe for disaster. Here, these 2 books have a history of you not finishing them. Let's try rereading them at the same time. Also, I'm listening to an audiobook. This is part of why I feel like I've been using books to de-stress instead of The Sims. I think there's a lot of guilt around me playing The Sims because it takes a very large chunk of time, and I'm a graduate student. I'm 25. I'm going to be turning 26 soon. I'm just kind of like, especially since it's not my job, YouTube isn't my job, it's like sometimes it can be really hard to find that motivation. And also, it's like a double-edged sword. When you don't post builds very often, they aren't as popular because of YouTube algorithms, and it also works with streaming. That one makes more sense. Like, oftentimes people will be like, I'm so sorry, I've missed so many of your streams. And I'm always like, no, do not be sorry. I stream literally once a week at the same time on a Saturday morning. Like, don't feel bad that you can't get, I don't even make that time half the time now. But yeah, so it's kind of just like, it can be kind of disheartening, I feel like, because I felt like my channel really grew, and then I got into graduate school, and then it just plateaued. Sink it down. Maybe one day it will rise back up again. But yeah, so it's just, and like, when I was doing the intro for this build, I was listening to different like intro songs, and I was like, oh, I'd love to do a build that would go great with this song. Oh, I know, this would be super great. Oh, I can match it with this. And I'm just kind of like, with what time? And so I feel like I've definitely been reading a lot more lately, because it's like a faster, like, chill out. I don't need to get dressed for it. Like with streaming, and just, these videos take a really long time. But yeah, so I just wanted to talk about that, just because, I don't know, sometimes I've been kind of worried about the future of both my, like, Twitch and YouTube channels, especially because the plan with Twitch was I would start it so that I could potentially end YouTube when I got into grad school, because I knew this would be a strain of time. And instead, I did the classic Penelope thing, like where I'm reading 2 books at the same time and an audiobook, where I am trying to stream and YouTube and school. So yeah, it's been kind of stressful. I'm hoping like things will pick up maybe once I move back. once I'm done telecommuting, maybe things will get easier. Maybe they'll get harder. We'll see. But this quarter has been the quarter from hell. I've had 9 classes in like 9 weeks, and I don't know. Somebody was like, how are you feeling? I bet you're pretty anxious, like coming into finals week. And I'm like, honestly, at this point, I'm not really anxious. I'm just mad. Like, I am just like frustrated that this is the way it's shaken out. And that I have so many tests. Like, it's not just that I have a finals week with like 7 tests. It's that I have finals week with 7 tests and lectures. And lectures. So like, there's one class where I have like, basically, it's only a 3-week long class. And so it's crammed in at the end of this quarter. And so I have a midterm tomorrow on Monday. And then I have like the final on Friday. I mean, they're technically called quizzes, but each one's worth a third of my grade. So like, at this point, I don't even want to call it the quiz. But yeah, so, oh boy. I changed my Twitter handle on to she's stressed. It is so accurate. But yeah, I just like, it's just really frustrating. And it's frustrating. I'm like adjusting things on camera. Great. Yeah. I just feel like I'm not as involved in the community as I once was, which makes sense because I was doing a job, like a full-time job, but like I didn't have any homework. I definitely have homework now, but or studying is the big thing. But let's talk about happier things. Again, switching it back from school. I feel like school is this big black hole that just like sucks everything into it. It's like, let's not talk about school. But talking about school, it's like a black hole. Whoa. And then where are we? Okay. But so, I went back to go visit my boyfriend. And we went out to go to Olive Garden, and I really love Olive Garden. To be specific, I really love their chicken gnocchi soup, and I try and eat vegetarian most of the time, but I will break for some of that chicken gnocchi soup. And I honestly, I don't really like their breadsticks, which is blasphemous. I know, but I really don't. Neither does my boyfriend, and he doesn't really even like Olive Garden in general. He just goes because he knows how much I like it. So, we went, and at the very end, the waiter comes back and she's like, okay, are you guys ready to pay? And both me and my boyfriend, we have our card in hand and we're kind of like squaring off at the table. And she's like, what's happening here? And we're like, it's a race to see who gets to pay first. And she's like, and she like grabs the like little like checkout thing that sits on the table. And she grabs it and she's like, okay, I have a way we can solve this. I'm going to think of a number between 1 and 10. Give me a second. And my boyfriend immediately goes, 7. And to be fair, like we waited a good like 10 seconds for her to come up with a number between 1 and 10. Like it shouldn't be that hard. But she immediately like glares at him like, I wasn't done yet. And so I like seized on the opportunity and I was like, forfeit. He loses. It's an automatic win for me. And so she turns and she's like, yes. And so I get to pay. And the whole time my boyfriend is trying to convince her that in reality, he actually won because he didn't get to pay. And it's like this whole ridiculous thing. And finally, like she had been like, just like a regular like waiter, not like super friendly, not, like mean or anything, but just normal. She comes back. She has this like wild grin on her face. She has like these giant handful of the Andes mints. She has so many that she's like dropping them on the floor as she comes to her table. And then she goes, and it's like this huge pile of Andes mints. And like, I know that they're like allowed to do that, but it always feels so special when they do. And also, my boyfriend doesn't like chocolate. So I got like 11 Andes mints all to myself. It was amazing. It was definitely a great way to spend my time at Olive Garden. But, or not. Definitely or not. Definitely not about. I was about to try and do the outro. But we still got like 4 minutes. So I guess maybe I'll try and talk about the build a bit more. I definitely went with like a modern vibe, and I do like how it turned out. I feel like I do this thing where I'm like, really fun shape, really cool build, and then like I go to the inside and I'm like, where do I put the bed? Like, where does everything fit? And that's part of why this got a basement, was because this definitely wasn't going to fit just the top floor. And I think it ended up working out really well. This is definitely like, could be a vacation home or maybe like a romantic getaway. This stuff above the sink, I ended up removing like most of it and trying to replace it because the sink didn't work. And you want to know how I know this? Because your girl tested it for you. She saw that sim walk to the bathroom to wash this, and she's like, nah, gotta talk in the third person as I describe this, and I'm gonna fix it. Also, as per usual, I gave the kitchen the Penelope treatment, so named by Harry. Hey, Harry. I love that I've done this enough now that it's like my signature to builds is putting 2 cutting boards, 2 or 3. I don't know, it's just like, that's how kitchens are. At least in my kitchens. Actually, not currently in my kitchen. But anyways, in all the kitchens I've ever truly loved, that's how it's been. But we are finally coming up on the end of this build. Let me know how you liked it, how you liked the face cam. And I feel like I'm extra awkward over face cam, but like, honestly, probably not. I'm probably about the same level of awkward that I usually am. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this build. If you did, feel free to give me a like, a comment, or subscribe. And I hope you guys are all having a great time. If you're in school, I hope you're not too stressed out. If you're not in school, I also hope you're not too stressed out. But yeah, I will see you guys next time. Goodbye!